Καλησπέρα λένε τέτοια ώρα. Μετά τις 12 μου έχουν μάθει να λέω καλησπέρα. Αν και νομίζω ότι πολλοί μπορεί να ξύπνησαν πριν καμιά ώρα, οπότε να είναι καλημέρα, αλλά εντάξει. Εγώ είμαι ο Δημήτρης ο Μαλλάς. Είμαι δημοσιογράφος στο CNN Greece, στο Move.gr. Έχω και 2 podcast για ψηφιακές τεχνολογίες, το 3 στον αέρα και το απλά ψηφιακά. Για όποιον θέλει, έχει όρεξη να ακούει podcast, που είναι της μόδας τώρα τελευταία. Να κάνω και εγώ λίγο διαφήμιση στον εαυτό μου. Λοιπόν, και ασχολούμαι με τις ψηφιακές τεχνολογίες τα τελευταία 25 χρόνια καλύπτοντάς τες. Η αλήθεια είναι ότι νομίζω ότι είναι η πρώτη φορά όμως μετά από 25 χρόνια που τόσο πολύ έχουμε δει το digital και όχι το tech. Εγώ το διαφοροποιώ. Δεν είναι μόνο tech, είναι γενικώς digital τεχνολογίες που είναι τόσο πολύ μέσα στην καρδιά της καθημερινότητάς μας και πλέον ασχολούνται άπαντες. Και εδώ πέρα υπάρχει ένα θέμα το οποίο το συζητάμε πάρα πολύ τα τελευταία χρόνια και μάλιστα το συζητάγαμε προ-πανδημίας, ακόμα και εν μέσω της οικονομικής κρίσης. Ταλέντο. Ανθρώπινο δυναμικό. Και αυτό ακριβώς θα είναι λίγο η συζήτησή μας εδώ πέρα, που έχω 3 πάρα πολύ καλούς ομιλητές. Θα το γυρίσω στα αγγλικά for you, Michael. It's Michael or Mikael? He doesn't hear me. Are you hear me?
Yes, I hear.
Yeah, okay. We're going to do a little more interactive than usual, okay? So don't worry. So, but I'm going for a couple of minutes still in Greek, and then I will come back to you, right? Okay. Λοιπόν, ταλέντο. Αυτή είναι η συζήτηση σήμερα. Και μάλιστα ταλέντο το οποίο υπάρχει ανάγκη σε όλο τον κόσμο. Οπότε η συζήτησή μας είναι πώς η ελληνική αγορά τεχνολογίας μπλέκει σε όλο αυτό το global competition, σε αυτό το παγκόσμιο ανταγωνισμό για ταλέντο. Έχουμε μαζί μας 3 ομιλητές, θα φωνάξω τους 2 που είναι εδώ. Ο τρίτος τον βλέπετε στη σκηνή. Στο σκηνή, λέω, με συγχωρείτε. Εντάξει. Και εγώ το πριν λίγο ξύπνησα, μην νομίζετε. Λοιπόν, έχουμε μαζί μας τον Γιάννη τον Παπίδη, ο οποίος είναι Chief Technology και Business Change Officer στην Dixons SE Europe A.E.B.E, δηλαδή στον Κοτσοβόλο. Εντάξει, μου αρέσει αυτό το τίτλο που βάζουν όλοι. Έλα. Έχουμε μαζί μας τον Γιάννη τον Ζαούδη, ο οποίος είναι ο CTO του kariera.gr, που επίσης είναι εδώ πέρα ο οικοδεσπότης κατά κάποιον τρόπο. Και τώρα θα γυρίσω στα αγγλικά. And now we have Mikael Örtelind. Did I say that correct? It's Mikael or Michael? How do you pronounce it? I don't know. Sometimes, you know, I get confused. That's why.
In Sweden, normally Mikael. In abroad, Michael. So both is fine.
Mikael, fine. Mikael is the CTO of Etraveli Group. If you do not know Etraveli Group, it's perhaps one of the largest e-travel agencies in the world, platforms in the world. And they have a very strong presence here in Greece because of they acquired they merged some time ago with pamediakopes.gr. That's the case. I'm using the more familiar brands in order to make the acquaintance. So, thanks very much, everybody, for being here. Okay, we have around 40 minutes to have a conversation. And what I would like to start, first of all, is to, and I will start with Mikael, is to make a small introduction of yourself and your company as well. Why you are here? Let's put it this way. Okay, so Mikael.
Okay.
They told me that I have to see in the TV rather than up screen. Yeah, I forgot that. Okay, so Mikael, give us some, in 1 minute, tell us about yourself.
Okay. First, thanks. Great to be part of this event. I would, of course, have preferred to be there on site, but we can see this as a statement that the tech industry believes in remote work. So that could be the way to look at it. Anyway, I'm Mikael Örtelind, CTO for Etraveli Group. Etraveli Group is a global flight-centric online travel agency. Basically, we have a search and a booking engine where we combine the airline routes and products and sell airline tickets. Sounds easy, but believe me, this is super complicated, actually. We're doing business on all continents and are averaging more than 60,000 sold tickets per day. So you could absolutely say that we are a global company. Few words about myself. I have more than 30 years experience working in technical and managerial roles within the technology industry. I'm not an expert on the Greek technology industry, but I have some experience and quite a lot of experience in evaluating and being responsible for tech organization in different countries in the world. I think that sums it up. I'm here mostly from the global perspective, so if you ask me a really detailed question about Greece, maybe somebody else would be better suited to answer that.
I'm going to ask.
I'm there.
I'm going to ask the question afterwards, but still, it's very important. We're talking about how the Greek tech market, in terms of the global competition. So, if you're viewing globally, it's a very interesting point of view, and we really need to have that as well, because sometimes we're looking a lot in our micro world or in our bubble, and sometimes it's much better to have a more global perspective. Okay, we're coming back to you. Giannis, I have two people named Giannis here, okay, so that will be a little bit difficult, but still, okay, I will start with the tall one. That's a better one. He's tall. Okay, I will start with the tall Giannis. Okay, so Giannis, tell us, give us a small introduction of yourself. I don't give us an introduction of Kotsovolos, fine. No. I think everybody knows that.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for this opportunity. I'm Giannis. I've been with the Greek IT market for a long, long time. I started my career in 1986, so I've been with the market for almost always. And, I've been working as IT director. I started as a startupper, actually. We didn't call it startup back then. We just call it a new company.
But still was a startup.
It was a startup.
Yeah, that's a misunderstanding. Everybody thinks that startups, it's the thing for the last 15 years, which is wrong. There are startups since the ancient ages.
Yeah. So I was part of the initial, let's say, first wave of companies, and then I joined big corporations. I worked at the telco industry in Greece for quite a few years, transforming systems and culture. And in the last 4 years, I've been working with Kotsovolos, which is part of the Dixons group, both at the technology and at the cultural level. So I'm always been very close to technology.
But just to point out something, and have the microphone closer to your phone. Okay, that's why the singers are like that. Okay. That's the reason. Okay, yeah. But just to make something clear that Kotsovolos, perhaps it's a retailer, one of the biggest retailers. Okay, you're selling tech stuff, but also the background, the IT background that you have, it's like a very complex, and that's why you are here, and you're always looking for new people in the tech, and you have done a digital transformation and a lot of stuff. That's why you're here also. So I have the other Giannis now.
Okay.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
You want to know more?
You're in the. I know that you're in the last wave of startups. So tell us a little bit.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Thank you very much for being here. I'm Giannis. My background is in engineering as well. Before we started this one, I was thinking that, looking back 15 years ago, a lot of things have changed in a much better way. And then you said about 1986, and I was like, okay, I still have a lot to see. For me, it was mainly startups, let's say since 2010. It was the last wave when the Jeremy funds and everything changed, let's say, the game in Greece, and we started working more like, the United States way. For the last years, apart from startups in Greece, I have been working with venture capital firms in the States, acquiring and scaling startups. And then for the last 2 years, we have been building the kariera.gr product team from scratch, recreating the new job board. I guess the job board is the reason most people are here. They probably know us for this.
Yeah, but you're not here just to say that, the general trends in tech. You're here because Kariera also has in need of a lot of developers. Exactly. And that's why you're here, in order to talk a little bit about what the Greek talent is all about.
Exactly. And I think the Greek talent is diverse. It's not...
Okay, let's move to that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with that. Okay. We're talking about how does the GR tech talent stand in the global competition? Okay, so what's good for the Greek guys or girls? It's really important that.
Indeed, yeah, indeed. I think first of all we have great hard skills. So our developers and engineers.
She will be a new developer here.
She's my daughter actually.
She's your daughter.
Yeah,
How old is she?
Yeah. So I'm here. She's here to. I'm trying to convince her to start.
Mine is already also here, and I've already convinced her. So don't worry.
So I think that in terms of hard skills, we're already there. I mean, it's definitely diverse, but there are a lot of talented people. Access to knowledge now is democratized, so you can actually you have the chance to learn from the best, from global talent. So that is really, really good. I think that we need to work a lot more to actually make the structure of our organization and the soft skills closer to the global market sometimes. But I feel that at least in terms of the actual engineering work, we're going at the right way.
Do you agree?
Yeah, well, I think that there is a huge shift in the last decade, and this shift has intensified the production of new talent in the tech space. So there is what you say, the democratization and the fact that people are now better equipped to study and to learn, and also the training environment in Greece has evolved. So there are multiple ways of increasing. But I do think that we're still lagging behind the rest of the world and Europe.
In what sense we're lagging behind? In your talking with people from Dixons around, that's why.
I think the first thing is quantity. We need more, so we need more
okay.
people. So we are, if you see our position in Europe, we are still at the lowest entries, and probably because we have fueled other economies by providing talent through the crisis to other countries. So maybe that's one of the reasons. But we're at 2.8, I think, for 2022 of the workforce in ICT, while the average is 4, and we should be closer to. There are countries that are 7% or 8%. So we still are lagging behind in quantity. I think in terms of quality, though, we are quite advanced, and we are quite competitive also in the salary space. So we are still, I think we have a good product at the right price, but still lagging in production.
How Kotsovolos is that? Okay. We will come back to both of these things, but I would like to ask Mikael here. Okay, sorry for Mikael, I don't know if you know Kotsovolos. Kotsovolos is like a very large tech store. That's why I asked him, I make these comments. Perhaps if you come here, you will meet Giannis, you will understand what I'm saying. So, okay, I understand, Mikael, that you're not here in Greece, you don't have such, but in a global perspective, you're talking with Greek people, with Greek guys and girls that they're working as developers, as IT guys and girls, as IT people. Do you believe that the Greek tech people stand out in the global competition, can make it happen? What's the feeling that you have?
Absolutely. Short answer, I think that Greece is great from the tech perspective, and we want to grow more. That's actually where we are. I am in Greece maybe every third month or something like that, and we have an office there, so I have some insights, of course. And we are super happy with the efficiency. I think Giannis the short or Giannis the long? That's actually tall. That said something about that. And if you look at what we are looking for is, of course, with efficiency, we looked at the culture, organization and individual efficiency, quality, tech business balance. In the ideal world, we get actually people that both know the business and also know the tech, because then you can combine this, and everything is normally driven from a business perspective, but you need to realize it with technology. Cost, I would actually say that it's only if it's significantly different that actually makes a big difference. And if you look at the global market now, slowly this is evening out. I think that the pandemic and remote work speeds this process up. We can see that in many markets like India and so on, that the salary is increasing. I don't think that many companies go there just to save money today. They need to look at it totally differently. I think it's the same with Greece. It's still a competitive market. It's not like super high. In North America, there are places there that I would not probably go to due to the cost, but otherwise cost is not the driver, I would say. Then maybe the most important for us that have a very complex business and platform, loyalty and commitment from employees. Onboarding is very expensive, so having people stay, if we take care of them, is super important for us. Other things that is more bread and butter is stability. I would say that Greece is stable today. Maybe if you look 10 years ago, not so. People maybe left, a few people left the country and so on. But today that is nothing we consider about Greece. It's a stable country according to us. Ability to scale, and I think that was what Giannis also mentioned. There are too few tech people, I would say, especially on the senior side, and that holds us back a little bit. So I would say that from our perspective, the challenge in growing in Greece is actually the shortage of senior people. There are methods to handle this, but that holds us back a bit if you look on the tech side.
Okay, Mikael, you also mentioned quality, and I also will hold the loyalty stuff, which has to do also with salaries. We'll talk that afterwards. But talking about quantity, sorry, because something that Giannis also said, and I'm sure that you agree with that as well. So what's the best practice to increase quality? What should we do? Okay, we have people here. We have people here, young people. I think they are following us online, and they're hearing that. Okay, and say, okay, I want to be participant in that IT sector. Okay, there are good salaries. There's opportunities there, not just here in Greece, but also abroad. What should we do as a country or as companies as well to increase that quantity?
I think it's the same everywhere. So if you look from the society perspective, I would say that a competitive company climate, mostly stability here, but also that we know what was going to happen in the future. Can't be too many changes. I think that's the most important thing. Encourage people to stay in Greece. It needs to be attractive to stay in Greece. I don't know, tax, everything. It's a really good lifestyle, at least that's what I see when I'm in Greece. Quality in the education system. Then, of course, I think that there is something, it has something to do with actually the crisis in maybe 2008. Some people left the country, some has not returned. And that might be the reason for less senior people on the market. I don't know in detail, but I would suspect that could be something. So, and encourage students to go for tech education. That is also super important. And if there are people here listening in, considering what career they should do, my advice would be go for the tech industry. And especially in Greece, looks great there.
Okay. Giannis, on the same subject, what should we do?
I think that what Michael said is valid. We need to incentivize. We need to find ways to increase the benefit for people to come in. So this
something has to be done by the state, or also the companies have
I think it should be a joint effort. I think that this is a competitive advantage for the future. I think it's the most critical competitive advantage for any country. And we need to make sure that the country understands that, and that means both government and companies work on that, fixing that. That means giving incentives, giving access to education, cutting the cost, creating an environment that will help more people get on board. And the second is to advertise. We need to increase the awareness. We need to make everybody understand what it means, both for them, but also for the environment. The fact that they don't need to be IT guys or coders or to work in the ICT industry. We need to make everybody understand that this space will not be a separate space. Everybody will be in ICT in the future. So they need to get on board now and not later, because at some point they will need to get on board.
Yeah, but I'm going now to the guy who is closer to kariera.gr. Okay, so how do we get on board? How do these people, the younger people, can get on board?
Well, let's say the hard part is to start, but now I think there's so many let's say, schools. I mean, even at Kariera, we have, the Kariera coding
That's why
schools,
I'm asking.
but there are also, a lot of efforts globally with courses where you can actually take the course, learn to code, and be a productive person within, let's say, weeks or months, okay? I mean, this is the first thing to realize, that it's not something that, you have to go to a university, wait 5 years. There are things that you can achieve even with studies for months, okay?
You can search that online. Do you have something on kariera.gr?
Yeah.
I'm not advertising your app right now, just giving, an opportunity for someone.
At Kariera, we have, the K schools, the Kariera coding schools, which is a very interesting...
But there are coding schools as well all around, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can just Google it and you will find tons of sources on that, but I feel we should... say a few more things about the awareness part. I feel we should share the story, and I still think, I don't have survey data, but I still think that the average, let's say, Greek family still considers, the doctor, lawyer, civil engineer more compared to, the IT industry, which is, those positions are great. I mean, they're obviously great, but our positions are also very interesting, very challenging problems, great and smart people to work with. I mean, for me, I'm a bit biased, of course, but...
You know what? Now we'll add a personal opinion on that. Yeah, you're right about that. I've talked to a lot of people in the last 25 years also, because it's not something that has happened now. Okay, now the problem is bigger, perhaps the challenge is bigger. But also in the past, I've talked to people. There was a good friend of mine, and he was telling me, okay, my daughter got into a faculty about, it's a faculty called math applications. Okay, and he was like, I don't know what she's going to do. She was a very good student. Why didn't she go for an architect? And I was like, are you fucking nuts? This is much better. Okay, she wants to be a developer. Okay, she's going to make more money rather than being an architect at this point of time anyway. But okay, I totally agree with that. But also has to do also with the change of culture that Mikael was saying. The culture, we're talking about the culture of everybody here. And also, here it's the part that also, do you believe that this thing that with the tech hubs that coming in Greece, okay, is can change this awareness part? Does make it more official? Because you see, if you see, for example, a company like Pfizer, which is a pharmaceutical company, and they're talking about hiring data scientists, for example, okay, and say, what? And it goes like that, everything will be on ICT. That's what they are saying. Do you believe that this helps, these things with the tech hubs that coming in Greece?
Yeah, I feel, that at least the last, let's say, 7 years, the spotlight on startups and everything is increasing the awareness. But I feel that we still have a lot to do, all the companies and ourselves at an individual level, like Giannis mentioned earlier. So the tech hubs are a great place to start, but it is nowadays where we have this huge unmet demand, and it's a pan-European thing. Every company should tackle the problem and should take some initiative. Otherwise, I think we will, like 5 years down the road, at the European level, we will still have the same issue.
Tech hubs. How does this affect, how the creators change? Do they change the landscape?
They do. They do in many ways. They do increase the demand. So that means that there's still, they're pulling everything up. So people are getting better paid, they find more opportunities, and that increases also the labor competition for other companies like ours or companies that are starting now. So they do help in making the demand even higher, which it's a good thing. But as I said, it's very, very important to meet this demand. Otherwise, we will stagnate. So it should be a country effort. I think that...
it's just a country effort, or it's all the stakeholders' effort? Because here in Greece, sorry about that, but here in Greece, and I'm talking also about myself because I'm representing media here.
I didn't say government.
You didn't say government.
I said
okay,
country.
That's what we have to focus on. That we don't have to expect everything from the state. It's also your part, and Mikael's part as well.
That's why I said the country effort, because I think that it's something that the country should see, and I mean everybody. So people should be aware of the issue, the fact that we will be in a worse position if we don't do something about it. I think that the government has done many things in the past few years and has changed the perception on their part too. I mean, and they helped a lot showing to people that Greeks can be digital, and that was a big change and a big, let's say, cultural shift.
We knew that everybody was on Facebook for a long time now.
And apart from what government has done, I think companies start to move this way. I think it will shift as we also shift our culture about how the corporate structures are. One of the reasons for all this, we can talk a lot about this, but the history of Greece has to do with companies that were built around one person, usually the owner.
More conservatives, older people.
They couldn't understand the importance of ICT in their business, and probably because they took most of the money through the government. So anyway, there were multiple reasons, historical reasons. I have been with the industry for many years, so I can see how we got here. I think now there is a great opportunity because we know that we can do it. We just need to make sure that we get everybody on board and people understand that it will provide them a great future, and it will also provide the country a great future. And if we say that with passion and we create an environment that creates this vision, I think that we will be very competitive in the future.
Mikael, from your experience worldwide, is tech hubs that we see here in Greece, or you're doing also yourself, is a way to change the narrative here in Greece or the landscape, or make more awareness, or we have to do more? Because I started to feel out that everybody's talking about awareness, that there is the tools to increase the number of people that they can work on the tech industry. But do you believe that tech hubs can work on that way?
Yes, I do. And I think they are more or less a result of the shortage of tech people in the world. So it's not only in Greece that we actually are missing technology people. And that means that with the pandemic, where we more or less learned that we could work remotely and we could work with office and business, if you look at tech and business on a remote distance, we also improved all our tools and processes, so we actually would be able to work remotely, and that was from necessity, because we needed to do that. Otherwise, we couldn't work at all, because we couldn't meet in the office. So I think tech hubs, they are a result of this, and I think that companies have learned that we can actually have tech in a separate place than business. I also think that there will be more smaller tech hubs where you get this kind of feeling that you are working remotely. For instance, if you are on one of the Greek islands, maybe it will just be a couple of development teams or something like that. And then you can have business elsewhere, because then you will solve kind of the problem with the collaboration within the teams, sharing the responsibility of the development domain and things like that. So I think that will continue, and maybe even be smaller tech hubs as well.
Okay. Now I want to make you, Mikael, before you were talking about loyalty and commitment, and we're talking also about salaries and cost. Okay, and everybody understands that when there is unmet demand, the salaries will increase. But also what we see, it's about loyalty, okay? And Mikael said that we're looking also for loyalty and commitment. How can you do that? Okay, how can you achieve that you have people loyal and committed to you besides the salaries? Okay, do you understand what people want, what the developers want? So, Mikael, I'll start with you,
yeah. I believe we do. I think that it's from the company perspective, we of course need to take care of the staff we have. And that is actually more important than actually recruit new ones, because you need to train them, it's onboarding and everything, so it's much cheaper to keep the people you have. And it's of course much better. I believe that in most regions, people want to be loyal. They actually give the company a chance. But if the company doesn't respond to an issue or something like that, then people tend to leave. And of course, with global opportunities and things like that, the competition is harder. So you need to be more aware of this and take better care of your employees, I think. Then, of course, you can do it with training, cooperation with other offices. For instance, if you are lacking senior people, you could kind of bring in that from other offices and do that remote. I think also in the situation we have today, you need to pinpoint where you need the seniority, because you can more or less actually expect that it will be a shortage. Whatever you do, that's the way it is. And then also, of course, be patient. It is a very big shortage of people right now, but it goes back and forth, and there are a lot of regions that actually educate people and so on. So we will have more. Time will actually make us have more tech people, and also the global finance situations goes a little bit up and down. Right now, it is tough. I would say during the pandemic, there were a lot of companies that had issues. But if you look at the tech companies, many of them actually got a boost. If you look at the e-commerce company, payment supplier companies and things like that, they had the time of their life. It was kind of dramatic, and now they are actually having the problem because they might actually have grown too much, and now they see the demand has gone down because people are maybe shopping a little bit more in stores and things like that. So there are some companies that actually have issue because they first had an increase by maybe 50 or 60%, and then after the pandemic kind of stabilized, they have a decrease in 20%.
What people in tech industry really want? That's the question. Okay, that's what I'm asking about. We're talking about loyalty. How do you keep people loyal? Or you can't?
Yeah, it's, as you said, salaries is one way to go with it, but it doesn't stick. I mean, you know, it will get inflated and probably go down after a while. I think that the new generation, especially the younger, not the more senior ones, the young ones, they also tend to focus on values and on the trust culture and on how they blend with the team. So I know also from my kids that they look at what the environment is like, not just on the salary tag. They want to feel part of the team. And I think sharing the values and creating a culture of trust is very important for a work environment. Especially now that is through remote working, this becomes even more important because it's not that easy.
You're talking though about changing culture inside a company as well.
And I think at the end of the day, the only way to make people loyal is for them to be part of the company. So I think that partnership models will emerge as we go forward, especially for high talented people, but also for lower areas, because otherwise it won't be very easy in a global market to keep people. I mean, when you have a global competition with a lot of opportunities around the globe, with different salaries, the arbitrage, the difference in salaries could be huge. The only way to keep your people is to make them part of your game. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to keep them.
Giannis, do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of discussions internally at Kariera about that one, and what we think is that, at least in terms of the salary, salaries are going to be, let's say, more or less the same based on time zone, more or less. So I can easily work for a company in London or in Berlin. So probably, at least for the senior people, salaries will
be more or less the same.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You need to find, yeah, okay.
So this is one thing to consider, and we've seen it going that way a lot. So before the whole remote thing, the salaries were more or less based on the local economy. But let's say if you leave the salary out, I totally agree with Giannis that you need a lot more things to have someone committed and loyal to the company. They have to be part of the company, and you need really good team, really good structure, and the company, the people nowadays really want to work for a company that they are proud. When they talk with their friends, they are saying, "Oh, you work at Kariera. I like what you are doing. You find people a new job. You change their lives. That's a nice thing." Yeah,
but don't the new generation really want to change their scenery from time to time? I mean. Okay, I will make that a little bit personal about yourself. Okay, you were working for one of the most interesting startups in the Greek startup scene in the last 10 years. Okay, I'm talking about that. Okay, and we've talked before. So, and then at some point, there was an exit. There was a huge. You were your Polfis. We're talking about Polfis. Okay, getting in a bigger scene, but still, you want to change, right? I don't think that was a matter. You were proud of the company. I know that. Okay, for sure. It's a nice company in any case. So why did you want to change? That also makes part. Also the same for you, for Giannis. I don't know about you, Michael. I know them a little bit better than you, but still, I know that they were working for companies they were proud of. Okay, so why the change?
This is also a very, very interesting question. So, for example, here at Kariera, we have different products and different teams. So what we're trying to say to people that are coming in the company, we're telling them that sometimes, like after 3 or 5 years, you might want to change, as you said. So instead of going to a new company, we want you to always reconsider moving to another team. And when that time comes, you know, we have the talent, people that also have now domain knowledge of the whole human resource space, and move internally. So this is how we're trying to tackle this issue, because this is a reality. People want to change at some point. Priorities change, needs change.
It goes the same for us as well as journalists. Sometimes, even if we're working in a newspaper or in a medium that's very well known or we're proud of it, sometimes we want to change. One last comment, any last comment that you want? Because we're running out of time. Okay.
I will also leave some time for Michael. So
yeah, as well.
So what I would like to finish with is that I think that this issue will be resolved in the next few years by creating a lot of alternative sources for this talent space. So ICT will become part of everybody's education, everybody's talent, to a lesser or to a greater extent. So I think that even the accountants or the marketing people, they will learn to write some things and to keep some of the functionalities in their hands. And I think that as we move forward, more and more people will join this, not as ICT experts, but as a very expert ICT, let's say, digital users.
You know something, I was talking to someone that was 7 or 8 years ago, and he was telling me that here in Greece, remember back in the 80s when we were growing up, okay, you had to know English, you had to learn English. It was a prerequisite for any job. And he was saying, as English back then, now it's time to, you have to know, it's a prerequisite to know coding. That's the case, anyway.
Python instead of English.
Yeah, that's what I said to my daughter in any case, and that's how she got to learn a little bit about programming. So, Mikael, any last comment that you want as well?
Yeah, I think I kind of mentioned it before, but from my perspective, the tech industry has a really bright future. So I think that from the Greek perspective, I think it's super important with encourage people to go into this sector, also having quality in the education system. And if you as a person consider to do this, I think it's a lot of fun, and the technology industry needs you. So I think you should go there.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I get an applause for these guys here?